The men started dying. A story by Ebi's Heart. Not so long ago, in a small village of Ofa, there lived a certain wealthy family, the family of Ojoma. They were known far and beyond for their strength and industrial spirit. They had so many lands, palm trees, and so many farmlands in great number. The Ojoma family had 10 sons, who were in charge of the family's wealth, and the sons gave birth to more sons. The family didn't have female children because their father made a pact with a deity to give him only sons, because he was an only child, so he wanted to create a village for the Ojomas. However, Tanko, one of his sons, got married like his brothers, but could not father a child. He tried everything possible and was unable to give birth. He hated himself so much that he couldn't sleep. Every day, there was always news of one of his brothers welcoming a baby boy. He married 2 more wives, yet, nothing changed, his wives couldn't get pregnant. With time, the rumor of him being impotent and not able to father a child circulated their village. Everyone made jest of him, even his brothers. By the time he married his 6th wife, he could no longer attend any gathering due to shame. Everyone will always shut him up and say, "Even you want to say something? Are you even a man?" Even his wives were not left out. He lost his position as a man amongst his wife as they all blamed and caused him for marrying them to be mocked. This continued for years until he fell sick with worry. Then one day, their father called his 10 sons, including Tanko, to share his properties amongst them since he was so old and weak. Tanko, who had only a piece of land where he farmed with his wives, eagerly waited for his portion to enable him feed his almost starving family, was shocked that his name was not even mentioned. While his brothers were getting more lands to add to the 4 and 5 pieces of land they already had, Tanko got none. As if that was not enough, his father spat on him and said, "I regret having a weak son like you. Go and ask the gods of our land what you did to them. Look at your brothers, none has been unable to impregnate his wife. Why will it be you that will be bringing disgrace to me?" His father said weakly while his brothers laughed and made mockery of him. One even said he should donate his wives for them to do his job for him. Tanko broke down and wept bitterly when he got home. When it was dark, he wore a black robe, rubbed white chalk across his face and left to see Ududu, the greatest and deadliest chief priest both within and outside their village. When he got there, he sat on the floor and cried for some minutes before saying, "I want to offer my life for what I am about to request. I want this my request to linger to the many, many generations of children to come into my family. Any male child, birthed by any man in Ojoma family must die at 15 years old. If they manage to pass the age of 15, they will never be able to father any child. As I am dying now before my time due to bullying, lack of empathy and intimidation by my brothers and father, may all my brothers also die before their time. They will all die one after the other by this time every year until they are all gone. And may this curse follow their children, children's children until the end of their generation. Your words have been heard by the gods and it shall come to pass, but before then, get any personal belonging from all your 9 brothers," the chief priest advised. Tanko went home and every day, he would visit the home of one of his brothers in their absence and take any personal thing he could lay his hands on. And because he was so much disrespected and insulted, none of his brothers' wives thought it was necessary to mention his visit to their husbands. "I have everything you need," Tanko said to the chief priest 10 days later. "Take this knife and repeat after me, as I die in pain for the bullying and intimidation I have received for the past years, because of my predicament, may anyone who has ever made a jest of my misfortune in my family, be buried and his lineage closed." Tanko repeated the words he was told and slit his throat. And his blood spilled on the ground, boiling with rage. His corpse was found on his bed with his throat slit. His family caused him more. How can he be so weak to commit such an abomination? Killing himself like a chicken? Everyone blamed him even more. The only person that truly mourned him was his first wife. His first wife Ngozi wished his mother was alive. She would have protected her husband from the humiliations he had gone through. His family and the entire village who felt he desecrated the land by taking his own life, threw his body into the forest for vultures to devour. This further strengthened the cause he laid on his family. His family coveted his wives, and his name and place were forgotten. Any of his wives who dared refuse his brothers was humiliated and sent away with nothing. However, 1 year later, exactly the same day Tanko died, one of his brothers was found on his bed with his throat slit. This sent a scary wave of shock across the village. Tanko's father had a heart attack and died because that was his favorite son. They called a soothsayer who told them the gods were silent. All their efforts to find out what killed their brother didn't yield any fruit. It was when another son died after another in the same way and circumstances that they knew something was seriously wrong. They traveled to another village to seek answers. "Who is Tanko?" the native doctors they met asked them. "Tanko? He is no one important," one of them replied dismissively. "Who is Tanko?" the native doctor asked again, this time with a shout. "He was our brother who committed an abomination by taking his own life. We don't even know if what he did is part of what is affecting us now. But be assured he is no one important," he concluded, and they all nodded in agreement. "Even in death, you are still talking down on your brother. The very reason why he took his own life. Until there is genuine love and respect amongst you, you will never find the cause of your problems. Talk more of the solution," the native doctor said, and ordered them to leave his shrine. They knelt down and started pleading for mercy. "You are the only one that has answered us." The rest said the gods were silent. "Please don't send us away," they said while on their knees. "Tanko cursed you all with his life, and except you are innocent of his reason for dying, you will never escape his cause, even your children and your children's children. Assuming he had a grave, you would have started pleading for mercy from him. But no, you did not only humiliate him while alive, you also humiliated his corpse. As we speak, Tanko is right here boiling with rage. He follows you wherever you go," the native doctor said, and ordered them to leave. When they got home, they quickly rushed to the forest where they had thrown Tanko, but saw nothing, not even a bone. It was as if he vanished after he was thrown into the forest. And this is because he actually vanished. He has been the one slitting their throats. Before any of them dies, Tanko appears in their dreams 3 times, but they never really took note of it until now. As the date one of them will die drew nearer without any solution in sight, their fear grew even more. Who will be the next? And who will save their family from going into extinction? "I saw Tanko in my dream yesterday," one of them called others to inform them. They started mourning him from that day while hoping to find a way to preserve the lives of the rest of them. This continued until they all died. Their wives turned into widows, but nothing prepared the entire family for the next thing that started happening after their deaths. 5 years after the death of the 10 brothers, the oldest grandson, who was married with children, died in the same way. That was when they knew they were not done with Tanko. Everyone became scared and they started searching for solution again. But after another year, another male grandson died. Within a few years, all the Ojoma grandsons had passed on, except 2, Bruno and Mike. Bruno's mother escaped and ran away from Ojoma's family immediately Bruno was born. She ran to her father, who was also a powerful man, and her son was dedicated to a powerful deity that kept him alive. The same thing was what Mike's mother did, although she remarried later and her husband took Mike as his own, making them the only descendant of Ojoma's family alive. However, their mothers knew they cannot father children, but they kept it a secret. 40 years later, Bruno, who became a wealthy and powerful politician, was at the verge of divorcing his wife due to childlessness. They had been to several hospitals and both of them were certified okay, but their childlessness still lingered. Until one day, Bruno's mother, who could not stand her son's predicament being exposed, arranged with a man to get Mary, her son's wife, pregnant. In order to make the plan work, she visited her son's home around the time her son traveled out for political meeting, and paid a young undergraduate a lot of money to do the job. He visited with the boy and told her daughter-in-law he was a son of a long-lost cousin. Mary welcomed them with open arms without knowing their plans. Every night, they would put sleeping tablet in Mary's glass of water whenever she was having dinner, and the boy will sleep with her. This happened for 2 weeks before Bruno's mother left. Bruno, who actually traveled to engage his pregnant girlfriend in Dubai, lied to his wife about going for a political meeting. His wife noticed he was extra happy when he returned and even slept with her, something he had not done in months. Not knowing his source of joy was that he was expecting a baby. Meanwhile, the other Ojoma grandson, Mike, has become a powerful man of God. He was from another village, being his mother's village. None of them were aware of their origin or what was following them. He has also been married for 5 years without a child, and his marriage has been war. But being a man of God, he cannot even think of a second wife because of what it will do to his reputation, so he detests his wife, whom he believed was the problem. Bruno was at his mother's place to inform her about his pregnant fiancée and his plans to bring her in when his phone rang. Mary called him to break the news of her pregnancy. "Honey, we are expecting a baby," Mary screamed happily over the phone. Bruno received the news of his wife's pregnancy with mixed feeling. He must go on with his newfound love, no matter what, he thought to himself. His mother, who was still shocked by the news of a new wife his son just broke to him, didn't even know how to react at the second news of Mary being pregnant. However, everything fell apart 9 months later when Mary gave birth to an albino child. "She cheated on me, Mom, Mary cheated on me. That albino baby is not mine," Bruno shouted on the phone while calling his mother to break the news about Mary giving birth to her child. He left Mary at the hospital and moved his fiancée, who had given birth 2 months ago to his assumed child, into their home. Mary was devastated because she never cheated as she was accused. She called her mother-in-law, who also accused her of hurting her son. Bruno's mother will do anything to keep Bruno's identity and the cause a secret because of his politician career and safety. Being a politician representing his community as an indigenous son, he would lose his position if his origin is traced to another community, so his mother will do anything to prevent that. And anything that will expose her son to ridicule of impotency is what she will protect with her life. That was why she threw Mary under the bus the moment it all went wrong. Bruno proceeded to divorce his loyal wife. Meanwhile, Pastor Mike, the other Ojoma grandson, who was fed up with his childless situation, sought for spiritual help since they have been certified medically okay. "There is a curse in your family. The men cannot give birth," the man of God he had met told him. Mike laughed and told him it was not possible since everyone in his family had children. "What of your father's family?" the prophet said, frowning. "My siblings are all married with kids, both male and female. The man who raised you is not your father. He married your mother when you were a baby," the prophet said, frowning again. Mike fumed and said, "Stop instigating what is not true. My father is late, but I am the first son of my father and we even look alike. This is why I never wanted to visit a visionary prophet, because of confusion." Mike was still fuming when the prophet said, "Go and ask your mother." Pastor Mike, who has been treating his wife like trash because of their situation, was so unsure of himself for the first time. The next day, he traveled home to see his mother. "Who is my father?" he said, and the question shook the foundation of his belief when he saw his mother's face. His mother denied understanding what he meant, but after much interrogation, she opened up and told him the entire Ojoma story. She also told him about the popular Honorable Bruno being his only family alive. He is also suffering from childlessness too, even though he recently introduced a child by his fiancée to the world. "But I am sure he is not the father." "But it doesn't matter, just do like him and allow your wife get pregnant and forget about Ojoma family," Mike's mother said while on her knees trembling. "The curse there is just too strong, please stay away. I am a servant of God, and I must liberate myself. I will try and meet Honorable Bruno so that we can both fight and win this evil cause," Mike said and stormed out. He made inquiries and met Honorable Bruno. He introduced himself as Bruno's cousin from his real father's village. Bruno laughed and told him he must be mistaking him for someone else, but Mike said no and started telling Bruno a story he has never heard before. How a certain curse is affecting them from having their own flesh and blood. Bruno felt very angry, but remained calm. He asked Mike to leave and warned him never to return. But deep down, he felt Mike was telling the truth, so he decided to do his findings. He started with carrying out a DNA on his newborn son by his fiancée. When it came out negative, he was devastated, so he went to his mother with a pistol and demanded for the truth. His mother told him everything in tears. "Then who is that man we always visit his grave as my father? That was your uncle, he raised you as his own." "I never remarried," his mother said, wailing. "So, you are saying that I am not from our village? Do you know what this will do to my political career if it gets out, and that I can never have a child of my own?" Bruno wept bitterly. "But why didn't you call out my fiancée about the illegitimate baby she brought to me? I will go to Ofa village and get to the root of these lies," Bruno said and left angrily. "Bruno and Mike are going to Ofa to fight the curse. I don't want to lose my son." Bruno's mother was on the phone with Mike's mother, who was equally crying. "I don't want to find you here when I get back." Bruno told his confused fiancée, who was shouting and asking of the offense she committed. Bruno and Mike disguised themselves to avoid being recognized. "We are looking for the Ojoma family compound," they asked an elderly man sitting in front of his palm wine store. The man got up and ran inside his house, causing at them. "Don't ever mention that name in this village," the second man they asked warned them. "Was it that bad?" Bruno asked Mike, as they were already tired of walking around the village and being insulted by everyone. Just then, a man that looked exactly like Mike walked up to them and said, "Are you from the Ojoma family?" "Yes," Bruno replied happily. "Then let's go," the man said and told them to follow him. "Are you one of us? Because you look exactly like my brother Mike," Bruno asked the strange man leading them. He simply smiled and kept walking. "This is the Ojoma family compound," the man said, pointing at an abandoned old village house with a large compound. "You can go in and check," the man urged them on. Bruno quickly walked into the compound, looking around, and was wondering why there were pots and plates and even cloths littered everywhere. "Come out, Bruno, we have to return with a prayer group first before stepping our foot into this compound," Mike, who refused to step into the compound, said. But Bruno toured the entire compound while the strange man led the way. "Seize him," a young man pointed at Mike, who was standing by the road waiting for Bruno. "We are from the king's palace and you are under arrest for trespassing into our deity's property," the young men shouted. They called Bruno to come out, because they also refused to enter the compound. Bruno came out and was calling the man who directed them to come out, but that was when they found out they were the only ones who could see him. The man leading them earlier was their uncle Tanko, the man who used his life to cause his family. "Who are you talking to? Move," the king's guards said, pushing Bruno and Mike away. When they got to the king, he warned them never to set their foot in Ofa village again, that they were not one of them. "This village went through a lot because of your wicked family, so we do not ever need to hear the name Ojoma again. You shouldn't have come here to fight what you cannot win. There are some fights you don't fight. Whatever you see from this journey, you take," the king said and told them to leave. They left feeling more depressed than they were feeling before they came. However, 1 month after they returned, Bruno was found dead in his bed with his neck slit. Mike never died, but the spirit of his late uncle, who they met at Ofa village the day they went, followed him everywhere. He could not harm Mike because Mike didn't enter their family compound, but Mike walked about with him. Mike regretted not letting finding his father's village be. "I was loved enough where I grew up. Why did I go to that forsaken village?" he said, shaking his head in regret. All the deliverance performed on him to get rid of the foul spirit of his uncle following him about never worked. He even sleeps on the bed with Mike. Mike never gave birth, but his wife did IVF and gave birth to a baby boy. Sometimes, some family battles are better left dead and buried. It is not every curse that can be broken. And may we be kind enough towards other people's predicament. Do not laugh at someone's pain.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.